Joining us now from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., breaking news reporter for the Washington Examiner, Mike Brest. Mike, I'm really glad to have you on tonight because you're actually someone who had an exclusive interview with this reporter, Jessica Kwong. So you talked to her firsthand, and there's been a lot of misinformation kind of regarding this situation. So if you could tell me a little bit about your article, what did she tell you regarding this situation?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, the point that she made most clear to me is that her assignment, which was given to her about a week before Thanksgiving, was to write what the president was doing on Thanksgiving. However, it's also been reported that she was told to write about what his plans were. And so while that doesn't seem like an important nuance, the difference is what she says her story was supposed to be was something that was supposed to be updated throughout the day, what he was doing, both in the morning as well as in the evening. So the way she laid it out to me was that her article was something that was supposed to be updated continuously throughout the day, and as we know, that didn't happen.
Can you really speak a little bit about the editorial process? I mean, this is one of those situations that seems kind of normal in the industry, where an editor assigns a story, the individual follows up on that story and submits a report. In this case, it was submitted the Wednesday before Thanksgiving and was published on Thanksgiving Day. Is that a normal process in the news industry?
Yeah, it is very common for news outlets to do what are called pre-writes, or to have a story written in advance for whatever the topic subject may be. And so in this case, as you said, Jessica Kwong was told to write the story. She sent it to her editor Wednesday, and then even updated her editor with the president's morning plans on Thanksgiving morning. However, as we know, he took a secret trip to Afghanistan to visit the troops, and then when it was announced, the editor who was on duty, instead of updating her story, actually requested another reporter to do an entire separate story on the president's trip, which happened. However, it became problematic when the president, as well as the president's son, sort of voiced their opinion about Jessica's original story, which hadn't been updated and wasn't updated for hours after the trip had been announced publicly.
Is this kind of a harsh response in the industry regarding what usually happens when a reporter does make a mistake or maybe doesn't follow up on a story the same way that it was in this situation?
It does seem like it was a harsh response on Newsweek's perspective, and it is interesting to see that a number of people have actually come out and sort of questioned Newsweek's intent with firing the reporter, and not, as we know now, have not taken any additional action at this point. Because as we've said earlier, it wasn't just on her, it was also on the editor as well as the editorial process.
What happens when a reporter finds out that there's new information? Is it their job then to go to the editor and inform them that there's new information? Does an editor receive that information and then go to the reporter? Is there a normal type of streamlined process that is usually used in these situations?
So I think first and foremost, each newsroom is different in how they handle updating stories or writing additional stories to piggyback onto a previous story. In my experience, the onus is on both a reporter and an editor, even if the editor is no longer sort of on call. It's still their responsibility to be keeping updated with their stories and the topics that they're reporting on.
Yeah, and once again, I advise all of our viewers, if you want the truth regarding this story, go see Mike Brest, his piece in the Washington Examiner. I mean, he talked to the reporter firsthand. I mean, we always advise people to get the source as close to it as they can, and this is the case where Mike actually talked to the individual who's kind of caught up in this whole scandal. But Mike, I really appreciate you coming on tonight. We're going to be sure to keep tabs with you on any developments regarding this story. Thank you very much.